I'm not sure when the last time I did a proper intro to the podcast was, so I want to say it here. Welcome to Whatever Forever, episode 5. I'm really, really thankful for everybody that has been continuing to listen and to come through, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on YouTube. I really, really do thank you for the continued support. And one of the things that I really want to do is continue to upload weekly, right? Try to upload an episode weekly, regardless of the length, but at least have an episode per week. And I'm going to keep it real. This week, I kind of struggled with coming up with the topic. My wife has been pitching me topics, but I want to make sure that I know what I'm saying. I want to make sure that some of these topics that she suggested, which are great suggestions, I want to make sure that I go into it knowing what I'm saying. If it's by myself, I don't want it to just be me trying to fill in the gaps of not knowing what to say. But today I came up with an idea of talking about a story that I've talked about previously, kind of like how it came to be uh from back then to today. And today I want to talk about content and why it is that I am so trying to do something with content creation and how long I've been doing it and why I continue to aspire to be a content creator as something that could potentially allow me to just have some financial freedom, you know what I mean? But honestly, this is something that again I've talked about a couple of times before. Luckily, I've had a very tight knit group of, I would call it a community through this current run of trying to do content, and they have heard this story previously. So if you guys are watching, you guys are listening, big shout out to you for continuing to support me. But I'm pretty sure you guys have already heard this story a couple of times. But to those of you guys who are new to the podcast, are new to 11 or Alex, the lore, this is a little bit of lore that I want to drop on you guys. And hopefully next time we'll have a guest. If we don't, I'll come through with another topic, potentially one of the ones that my wife suggested. But okay, the concept of content, what is it? Why am I still trying to do it? And trust me, I question myself and I tell myself that question every fucking day. Like when I don't upload and I feel guilty, it's like, why do I feel guilty? You're only uploading YouTube shorts right now. Don't feel guilty about missing a day. But then when I do upload, I see the numbers increase. And so when I don't upload, it makes me feel a little bit more guilty and a little bit more like I could be doing something and I'm just not putting up the time. And that's been a consistent theme of mine for years, right? I've been around YouTube since I want to say 2007. 2007. So that's freaking wild to even just think about that, right? 2007 was a completely different time here on YouTube. If you guys go back and try to figure out find an image of YouTube in 2007, there was things like the star ratings, thumbs up and thumbs down was not even a thing. You could leave video responses, which is something that was really crazy. Video responses. If you had your own channel, you could edit it, you could customize it, you could leave comments. I think you were even able to have friends, and actually you were able to DM people on YouTube. You were able to fucking DM people. And I remember like DMing a couple of my favorite YouTubers and nothing came out of it. So good. I'm glad that they removed that feature because you don't need to be able to DM anybody on YouTube. But the landscape at the time for me looked completely different to what it was now. And at the time, I was mainly a consumer. I was very, very young, but I was there for some of the early viral moments. Charlie Bit My Finger, Neon Cat. I was there for the rise of Fred. If you guys remember Fred, if you don't, go look up Fred. You're in for a surprise. And also for like when I was rooting for Smosh to become number one, when they did, it was like the best day of my life. But I was there for it, right? I was there for some of these early viral hits, which I think the concept of virality now is completely different than what it is now. But I was there for it, right? And it was easy for me to be inspired by watching some of these people do content, right? And again, at the time, I think my favorite YouTubers at the time were Smosh. And Smosh, I'm not even going to talk about current day Smosh, but back then it was it just was looking like the most fun thing ever, right? It was just two friends doing skits, doing goofy shit, and that is something that I said to myself that I really, really wanted to try doing. And luckily enough, my family for the longest time has had cameras, you know, like the point, like the digital ones, like the kind of like the bulkier ones, the small pocket size ones, but we've always had a camera. And so I wanted to do something, and I just got a couple of my friends and we recorded videos here and there. But nothing came out of it, honestly, because I, for whatever reason, I couldn't grasp the concept of how do I transfer this footage to a computer. I never did. So you know, maybe it's good, it's for the best, so I could save myself the cringe of looking back at those videos with agony. But none of that ended up making it online. Again, probably for the best. But I was still trying to do it with my friends. I was still trying to record videos and make it goofy, come up with storylines. And to be honest, some of those things, even though we weren't able to like properly upload it or see if anything came out of it, it was core memories in the making, to be honest. Just going to the park, doing something dumb, doing stupid shit was just so much fun. And it felt really cool to be able to do that with my friends. It felt really cool to have a group of friends at the time that were just down, you know, down to do that shit with me, and they found fun in it, and we never really ever made fun of each other for it, you know what I mean? Unless we fucked up on like a take or something. But again, none of that ended up being online. When I did actually started uploading videos, when I finally understood how to do it and how to transfer video from a camera to the computer and upload it. It was just shitty videos of me vlogging. Like I was a fucking pioneer, dude. I was vlogging before Casey Neistat was doing it. I was doing it before it became the meta in YouTube. And I was just vlogging, talking about my day outside. Occasionally, my little sister would come in and troll me, and I would get pissed off and cuss. But it was still like I was pioneering this shit out. You know, some people might remember some of those early vlogs. Nobody does because YouTube took them down, unfortunately. I wish I knew. I don't even remember what those channels are called, so I can't even like properly look up to see if those things still exist. But after that, I created a channel called Alex Hardy, ALX Hardy, like Jeff Hardy the wrestler. Yes, I was so fucking inspired by Jeff Hardy at the time. He was literally my fucking idol. He was my god essentially. But it was there in that channel where what I uploaded started to see some traction. And it might be cringe, but I used to upload AMVs, anime music videos. Have you ever seen one of those? It's not exactly an AMV, but it kind of is. Have you ever, I'm pretty sure you did this early in your, you know, when you were a kid, but if you ever go on YouTube, you look up like Goku Super Saiyan 1000, but the transformations in each level. I was doing that. You know, everything. If you have ever seen a fighting montage of Goku and Vegeta or Sasuke and Naruto, and it's like to some Linkin Park song, that's exactly what I used to make. I used to make that. And they would get a lot of traction, honestly. They would get a lot of traction. And I was really happy about it. You know, at the time, getting into my early teenage years, it was like, dude, people are fucking watching my videos, you know? And at the time, they weren't the best AMVs. They weren't the best like videos that I could have produced, but I was really, really dedicating my time to learning how to video edit and do flashy effects. And it was something that I felt really proud of. Again, not only because people were liking it, but it just felt satisfying to really finish something, put it up there, and once again get met with like praise, you know, people saying how cool it was or whatever. And I felt cool with the praise that I was getting. I started to lose interest in that. And I started to venture into other things. Along the way, I found out that one of my close friends was also doing YouTube, and he was a little bit more shy about it, but he was also getting numbers like really, really legitimately at the time. You know, nothing super super crazy, but he was starting to amass close to 1,000 subscribers at the time, and that was a pretty big deal, to be honest. And you know, I found out, and he was kind of shy about it, but he told me that he was making YouTube poops. And if you guys don't know what YouTube poops are, I don't even fucking know how to describe it because they range in insanity. but essentially take a episode of SpongeBob, edit it to where it seems like they're saying bad words and they're doing something completely different than what actually happens in the original video or original episode. That's kind of like a super simplified way of it describing what a YouTube poop is. If you want to know what it is, go look it up. You are going to be bombarded. You're either going to immediately turn away from it, or you're going to go down such a deep rabbit hole that you're never going to be able to get out of. But I found out about YouTube poops. I somehow found out about his channel, and I told him if it was him, and he said yes. And the reason why I knew it was him, because I knew that he had a channel by the same name, but this one, it was like one letter off. So I confronted him. He's like, yes, it's me. You know, don't tell anybody, but I could teach you how to make these, right? And he did. He taught me how to make them, and I had a ton of fun learning, because in concept, YouTube poops are so simple. They look simple. It looks like you're just taking a soundbite of someone saying a bad word and replacing it over, dubbing it over, but there's like a fucking like art form. There's something magical about creating a good YouTube poop. Fucking slaps, dude. A good YouTube poop, you'll be thinking about that YouTube poop for years. And I have those YouTube poops that I still think about, that I still kind of quote with my best friends, you know what I mean? And he taught me how to do them. I eventually started doing rant style videos, because that was another thing that was popular within the community that I was in. And I want to talk about that too, the community that I was part of. Because along the way, he was already, again, that friend that I found out that had the YouTube channel where he was making YouTube poops. He was friends with a couple of other YouTubers, another group of YouTubers, you know, just a group of friends that all did YouTube. None of them except for one were really like popular or anything like that. But it was just a group of friends that did YouTube, and they would hang out on Skype and just shoot the shit and just hang out with one another and collab with one another. But it felt more like a friendship than just like a collab on making videos or whatever, right? It just so happened that we would be hanging out and a video would come out of it, right? And so he introduced me to them. He put me in a Skype call when Skype was like the Discord for me. But he put me in a Skype call, and it was one YouTuber, I want to say YouTuber specifically, and that I knew of actually, and that I couldn't believe he was friends with, and just two other people. And for whatever reason, my friend had to leave early, so I was stuck in this call with them. And I was trying so hard not to fanboy, because again, it was a situation where I was put in a voice call on a Skype call with this person that I've watched their videos. And keep in mind, they weren't a super huge YouTuber. I think they were like 5,000 subscribers ish, but to me that seemed like crazy, you know, the fact that I was interacting with someone like that, let alone someone that before this whole thing even happened, I was watching their videos. I try to make a good impression. I was trying to be funny, and I did. And they essentially ended up letting me be part of their friend group, and it just felt really nice to be part of something, right? And I was inspired by him, that YouTuber, because he would make rant style videos, like really in-depth rant style videos, which is why he amassed the subscriber count that he did at the time, which again, at the time, now maybe 5,000 subscribers doesn't seem like much, but it was a big deal back then, or in the sort of early days of YouTube. 5,000 subscribers was a significant amount, and it felt really nice. It felt really nice to every day when school would finish, I would log onto Skype. I would Skype message a couple of them. We would just shoot the shit, occasionally get in voice calls. We even did like karaoke nights, and it just felt really nice. The sense of community, that first real community that I was part of, really made me want to continue to do the whole content thing, or attempt to do something with YouTube. And back then I was pretty consistent with it, right? I kind of stopped making the anime music videos, the AMVs, and in turn replaced it for YouTube poops, rant style videos, or just literally anything. I even started delving into what it was to do let's plays, right? I even joined a collaborative channel, which immediately got deleted because one dude got mad and deleted the channel, so that never went anywhere. But it introduced me to making let's play style videos, which at the time was kind of popping off, you know. Game Grumps and eventually would come in, but things like the Angry Video Game Nerd and just, you know, other YouTubers that were doing like the let's play-ish styled videos, early days of YouTube, I was very inspired by, and I really, really wanted to do something with it, but I just didn't have the means to do it. I can't imagine myself going up to my dad and asking him to buy me some equipment that I had no idea how to use, but because I wanted to become a YouTuber or take it more serious, right? God forbid I ever mention that. God forbid I even mention it now. God forbid I even mention it now, to be completely honest with you. But again, that community at the time meant a lot to me. And I eventually, I think as we got older, we of course separated. And I say of course because I don't really talk to them anymore. I really do hope that they're doing good, because they were, at least if I don't let this episode come back to me and haunt me, but I'm gonna say, as far as I know, they're all up to something good, and they're all good people, as I fucking hope so. I allegedly allegedly they're good people, but I have good memories of them, so I want to remember them like that, at least for now, unless something fucking crazy happens. But it left me wanting to continue to do it, right? That whole era, the Alex Hardy era, that's the name of the channel again, was really, really cool. And it really, really made me want to try to take it seriously. After that, however, unfortunately, YouTube decided, hey, we're going to take copyright a little bit more serious. Things that we allowed once are going to be no more. So once again, YouTube poops, a lot of the time they consisted of, the popular ones at least were SpongeBob. At the time they were like iCarly, just cartoons essentially, making them, say crazy shit, right? And so a lot of the bigger companies took down videos, and when your video gets flagged or whatever, you start getting strikes. And of course, I already had like a bunch of fucking videos that infringed on those copyrights. And so, and let's not even get into the fucking AMVs, which again use copyrighted music, which nowadays that's like so foreign, you can't really even do that so much here on YouTube anymore. But back then, YouTube was like, we're putting down the fucking hammer, and we don't care if you get fucked. And I got fucked. Like, I got fucking pinned, not even taken out to dinner. My channel got fucked, bro, like legitimately fucked, and it was deleted. And I really, really wish there was a way for me to go back. I don't even remember the email that I used. I think it might have been like a Yahoo email or something like that, and I have no way of looking up these videos. I really freaking wish I did, man, but unfortunately I just can't. And so after that, I went back to how I was. I was just a consumer of watching videos, and just not really even caring about content whatsoever. And I took a big break of trying to become a content creator, right? Again, the concept of streaming, while it was potentially on the come up at the time, I had no grasp on what it was to even become a streamer, and nor did I really care about streaming in the first place. I consumed some sort of streams here and there, but the platform of Twitch was completely foreign to me. And so I took a big break, and again, I was consuming content such as that's when I started to get more into like the shit that I watch is just so fucking varied, to be honest. I was still watching things like Angry Video Game Nerd, and I eventually stumbled across H3H3, which is, I think, still to this day my favorite YouTuber of all time, and just a bunch of different shit, a bunch of different shit, and I was content with that. I was happy with that. But it wasn't until, I want to say, the PS4 era, around the time that the PlayStation 4 was out and the Xbox One was out, that's when I found out that you can stream directly from your console, right? And I never really bothered with it. Again, I didn't really have a platform. Who was I going to be streaming to? Was it even really going to work? But it did fucking work. Like, it legitimately did. And what I mean by that is I didn't have the interference, or there wasn't anything preventing me from going on stream, right? And so I dabbled into streaming. I was very lucky that I was able to stream directly from the console, and I started streaming on Twitch. I used to play Destiny. I used to play, don't know if I ever got to play Fortnite or anything like that, but around the time that was 2016 was when I started to try to dabble into those things. I once again tried to do content, and I tried to do the thing where I would take the game Destiny. Destiny is a video game that I was really passionate about at the time. And I try to do content for that game and, try to delve into streaming more often and play whatever it was that I was playing at the time. But it really didn't do a whole lot for me. I don't really know how much I amassed. I don't have that channel anymore. That channel is gone. I actually don't even have it anymore. But it was a thing where I wanted to have that inspiration. But if you guys remember from the last episode, the one where I was talking about my wife and things we've been through, in 2016, when I tried to do that, is when things started to get a little bit more serious for us, for my relationship, in terms of, getting married and having that conversation. And again, at the end of 2016, we got married and we moved out to LA. So I kind of wasn't even thinking about content, right? It was really nice, and it didn't really, nothing really came out of it, to be completely honest with you, besides a couple of friends watching my streams and whatnot, and just getting that sort of experience. But I moved, and I guess I kind of moved on once again. And even though the next year I came back to live where I lived and I moved out, I got the fuck out of Los Angeles. When I came back, I wasn't really thinking about making content whatsoever. Like, I took a break until 2020. And this is when I really learned and was inspired to become a content creator. And this is kind of where it's like the meat of it, right? Everything else is just kind of building up to it. But this is essentially like the era where I started to really try. And this is where I what kind of led me to where I am right now, right? So 2020, pandemic hits. COVID is rampant and it's fucking everybody up. Hospitals are filled up. I am getting pretty anxious. Life is very anxiety inducing. And we get together for my sister's graduation, which I still feel really bad for her because she was in the time where she graduated and she didn't get a proper graduation. So I feel really, really bad for her in that sense, because it's a fucking big achievement to graduate high school. And so it's around the time, and it felt very liminal. Like, it felt very Backrooms-esque. The fact that this is happening in the world and we're alive to experience it. And shortly after that, I could tell that my mom is very, very nervous, like extremely, extremely nervous, like just so, so scared. And then she gets sick. My mom gets sick. I get sick. My father-in-law gets sick. And just a bunch of people in my house get sick. But my mom started off kind of like early symptoms, kind of feeling kind of shitty, but we could write it off as a flu. Testing is just in the early stages. There's no fucking vaccine at this point, right? Again, hospitals are filled to the brim with cases. And my mom is scared. And I feel like she kind of let her guard down. And her sickness started to escalate. She tested positive for COVID. And it got so bad to where she needed to go to our local hospital. It got even worse to the point where she needed to be taken to San Diego, to a bigger hospital. And it got to the point where I'm not someone that's religious. Like, I just want to put that out there. I'm not someone that's religious. But that was when my mom was in that hospital. That was like one of the very few times that I've ever prayed. We had a Skype call with my mom bless those nurses that were there taking care of her, those doctors. We had a Skype call with my mom where we were able to do that. And it was me, my wife, my big sister, my little sister, my dad, all in the Skype call. And my mom is in a hospital bed, and I've never, I never, I never imagined myself seeing my mom in that state. Seeing my mom in this state, like I couldn't even look at the phone. I couldn't even look at her. Because when I think of my mom, I think of this very happy, very always trying to lighten up the room. She's beautiful, right? She's so beautiful. I didn't want to even think about her in that state. And after that, I life to me took another meaning, right? Life to me took a very different meaning. It was a reality check that I feel like I desperately needed. And it taught me that at any point, life could take a turn for the absolute worst. And something that you might not think is ever going to happen to you or to anybody that you love or to anybody close to you could happen. And it happened. Now, thankfully, it was like a complete 180 after that. After that one specific Zoom call, because I was at like the height of, I never wanted myself to give up. I never want I My mom is one of the strongest fucking people that I've known. Like, she is so fucking incredibly strong. But just seeing her like that, like, it gave me some doubt. Like, it really gave me some doubt. And around the time was when I was starting to, embrace the the fact that I was someone who dealt with anxiety, and my anxiety was through the fucking roof. It was the worst I've ever been, I think. But again, after that, shortly there after that Zoom call, it just everything took a complete 180 for her. She just her results were looking better. She was able to just she was getting better. She was able to eat. She was regaining herself, regaining energy. And just over time, the next couple of weeks, she was just getting better. And I just remember them bringing my mom home and looking at her, and I took a picture of her, and she smiled, and the sigh of relief, man, like, to just see her again, how I know, and still smiling, man, like, oh my god. But fuck, I'm a mess. But during the time that was going on, again, life just kind of I was confronted with it. I was confronted with life essentially, and I more than ever said to myself, you need to just fucking do whatever it is. Like life at any point could say this is it for you, and any hopes, any aspirations that you continue to put off, you are gonna regret it, right? You're gonna sit there with regret and filled with moments of you asking yourself, what if? So enough. What is? Try it one more time. Try to do this shit with content one more time. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you at least know that you tried. And so I started to try, right? I started to try. And I put out a video trying to do a let's play of one of my favorite games of all time, Pokemon Crystal. And it didn't get enough. It didn't, in my eyes, it didn't felt like I got enough views. And already I was starting it off very wrong because I was thinking about the views. And who the fuck was gonna so how YouTube is not gonna recommend a video on a YouTube channel that at this point is like a decade old, and it's just no one's of course no one's gonna fucking see this, right? And so I started to say, okay, how can I do this the right way? And so I still stuck with that channel, an old channel, which again is a very old channel that was kind of vacant for the longest time, and it wasn't the best idea to do it like that, but that's how I did it because I already had the channel. I didn't want to make a new one, and I made a proper introduction video, and it started to get some views. I started live streaming. I started getting the equipment. My early live stream setup was so bare bones, but it worked, honestly. And I will say this to anybody: you don't need a microphone like this. You don't need a crazy computer. If you're able to record, if you know that you have decent internet and your laptop could handle it, you could stream and you could get the ball rolling, right? And that's what I did. I had to work within my means, and I had to do what I had to do. And I started streaming things like Super Smash Brothers. I played Animal Crossing, a bunch of Nintendo stuff, and I started getting in a pretty good community going. I started seeing the numbers increase. I reached 100. I eventually hit 200, 300, 400, eventually reaching 500, which is where, that channel is sitting at right now. Not this one, but the one that I was previously operating on. But I started to build this community, and I felt proud. I felt happy. I was doing things with the community. I was having community events. I was putting out videos as well to supplement the days that I would stream, and I was on a schedule, and everything was good until I just stopped. And I didn't stop cold turkey, but where once I would stream maybe 3 times a week, maybe upload once a week, maybe maybe once every 2 weeks I would upload, stick to that 3 times a week streaming schedule, eventually turn into 2 times per week, maybe a video every 3 weeks, to maybe, once a week I would stream, once a month I would upload a video, to eventually just sporadically tuning in and playing whatever and acting like nothing really happened. And thankfully the community that I had was very, very, very loyal and stuck around and came through. And of course I would do things that would involve having people be part of what it is that I was streaming. And so it was easy for me to get interaction, because people want to have that sort of interaction with people. And so it was easy for me to do that. But I started losing motivation. Like I just started losing motivation for it. Like I don't know what it was. I started taking things for granted, and I just wasn't putting up the effort, right? I wasn't putting up the effort to do it. And I don't really know what it was. I feel like maybe I did burn myself out because I was going full force on it, right? Going extremely full force on it, sticking to that schedule. I think at the time I was also working up until I think it was like 5 in the afternoon, and I would only give myself an hour break until I would have to turn on the camera, be in front of an audience, and be funny or whatever, right? Try to be engaging to supplement the live stream, right? And I would stream 3 to 4, which is again probably way half of what people do nowadays to do some sort of to live off of it essentially, or maybe potentially start to make some real money off of it. But it felt like a lot to me, right? It really felt like a lot to me. And to anybody that is like, that doesn't seem like a lot, right? I could do that. Imagine this. Imagine you doing it because you're not even doing it for money. You're potentially hoping to get some money, right? But for me, it wasn't about the money. If the money came later at some point, then great. But for me at the time, it wasn't about the money because I knew that it wasn't realistic, right? And I was more so just wanting to see if I could create a community. And that's still to this day my biggest goal, is to form a community that I feel proud of, right? That I feel proud of. And I felt proud of it. Like I legitimately did. It was still something that without them, I would I would not even be here, like doing this whole thing, right? I would have given up like a month into me trying once again. But I wasn't. And every single time, the only reason why I feel like I didn't stop cold turkey and I would still try to do it every once in a while was because I would think back of like what I told myself when when the whole thing with my mom was going on, right? And not only just that, but I felt bad for not doing it. I felt bad for just letting down this community, but I also had my wife who was incredibly supportive who is incredibly supportive of this venture of content creation, and she gives me ideas, she gives me suggestions. She's always like, hey, like, when are you going to stream again, when are you going to upload a video? Even still, like, she was like, hey, it's going to be Friday, like, have you recorded your podcast? It's like she's on top of it, like as well as I am, you know what I mean? She wants me to achieve something that I feel passionate about, and I very much am. But I feel like I am my own biggest enemy when things like that happen. I feel like I lose motivation, and it's not the first time. I think it's just a thing with me, but I have a thing with starting something and at times having that short burst of just, I want to try this, and maybe some people might call it ADHD. I don't fucking know. But I find like something and I really feel passionate about it, and then I just stop, right? I remember trying to learn how to play the guitar because I always want to learn how to play the guitar. I had my dad buy me like an acoustic, and I never learned. I had a bass at one point, and I was even part of a friend's band. My friend Eric Eccentric, I was in a band with him for like a day or two, and then I eventually just gave up. I've picked up skating, and it's something that I still want to do. I'm really trying to try to skate once again. But back then I was just such a pussy, and I never really wanted to learn how to do tricks. I was fine, just cruising. So there was a trend for me of just doing things and not really super committing to it. And this was starting to become that. And I had to remember what it was that really, really motivated me to do what it was that I even wanted to do in the first place. And that was the goal of accomplishing something and creating something that I feel proud of. And I felt like I was starting to do that, right? And at some point in the whole, because I was on YouTube at the time, right? I was on YouTube at the time. At some point, I felt like I was starting to lose that motivation and I needed that change. And at the time, instead of posting videos, I was supplementing my channel by doing live streams, streaming on YouTube. And at the time, YouTube was not really that streamer friendly. And it was just a place where I felt comfortable, right? I was uploading videos. I was making a name for myself here. It only made sense for me to start streaming on YouTube. But eventually I kind of decided that, streaming is my bread and butter. So I need to be on a platform that is going to supplement whatever I need when it comes to streaming. And it's super, super easy for me to just stream on it. And again, the sense of community as well. And so I decided to make the leap over to Twitch, which is the premier website for streaming. Like if you want to stream, when you think of streaming, unless you're like a YouTube head or whatever, Twitch is the place to go. Like that's what people associate with streaming. There's obviously there's platforms like YouTube, Kick, and other places, but primarily when you think of gaming, when you think of streaming and streaming gaming, then you think of Twitch. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna stream on Twitch. And I've previously tried. I started streaming on Twitch like in 2016. That's when I was streaming. That's where I was streaming, but there was a lot of things, a lot of dumb shit, which Twitch is still known for doing dumb shit on the daily, but there was a lot of dumb shit that I didn't agree with Twitch doing at the time, and so I switched to YouTube, and that's where kind of the resentment happened, and I was still on YouTube, but then I eventually decided, you know what, I need to take the leap and see what's up. And at the time, that was literally the best thing that I could have done for myself. That was literally the best thing that I could have done, because it made me start from fucking zero. I was at zero again. So I had to build myself up once again. And on Twitch, for those of you guys that don't care or are not aware and are probably wondering, how do you make money off of this thing? Well, Twitch allows you that. And for me, it felt way more obtainable to potentially start making some money off of it, right? And again, I don't want to make it seem like I was doing it for the money, but it was very much appealing, right? If I could be doing what I want and enjoying what I want while also making some sort of money, then fuck it. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? And so there are two tiers of something that you could accomplish to potentially earn money on Twitch, and that is becoming an affiliate and becoming a partner. Becoming an affiliate is obviously much more obtainable than becoming a partner. Becoming a partner is like you're killing it essentially, right? And you get a certain amount of viewers, you get a certain amount, like your analytics look a certain way and you get approved, etc. With becoming an affiliate though, they kind of give you like quests. Like if you're playing like a video game, you have to achieve a certain thing or do a certain task. It was like that. It was laid out really well, and I will commend Twitch on it. It's very appealing to becoming affiliate, right? It could potentially be super easy. Some people find more difficulty in it, but I felt confident in the switch because I had a very loyal community at the time, and I was like, okay, if some people don't transfer over, that's fine. I know for a fact that these people are still gonna support me over here, and I know that it's gonna be okay, because I had my community to come along with me, right? Sure enough, I started streaming on Twitch. My community was there, and then I eventually got to meet more people through streaming the games that I did, but this time through, the people on Twitch, and it felt really, really nice. And that first week was like on fucking grind mode. I think I streamed 4 times that week. I streamed 4 hours, most of those streams, and I achieved affiliate status in my first week on Twitch. And again, it could be as simple as that, but again, if you're trying to start it from the beginning, it might not be so easy. And I, again, was just the luck factor, feeling extremely lucky. I was extremely lucky to be there with my community and not be there by myself and essentially start from zero. I say start from zero because I created a new Twitch channel, but I had that handicap of being there with my community, and it felt really nice. I felt very welcomed. And I think for the most part, what I really wanted to do was try to branch out and be part of something, be part of a community. And I think the first community that I tried to do that with was the VTubing community. And if you guys don't know what VTubing is, go look it up at your own fucking discretion, because you are probably going to be met with very big assets and very sus clips. I will say that. But I was interested in the VTubing community. And what did I do? I became a VTuber, right? I tried to do the whole VTubing thing. I met a bunch of people that were in the VTubing community, some people that I still keep up with to this day. that I follow on Twitter, that I watch their streams, that I'm friends with them on Discord and I talk with on occasion. But it was felt really nice, right? It felt really nice to be part of something and to be included in something, right? To be making a name for myself in a certain community. Eventually I kind of fell out because VTubing is fucking expensive. If you want it to be, I think you could like getting assets for those. That's a whole different conversation for another time because that's a very niche era of my lore. But again, VTubing to me, and with how I wanted to do things and my fascination of doing things and wanting to make things as high end as possible, it was starting to become a little bit expensive, and I was just honestly kind of not really wanting to do that anymore because I wanted to have me be the brand, not this anime character on someone's screen. You know what I mean? And so I started to do more face cam stuff and trying to really establish myself as, me, the personality. And I started to be in this little game called Friday Night Funkin', and it's like a rhythm game, and it has like mods and everything, and it's like it has a very, very fucking passionate community. And for me around that time, I was very passionate about that because it was giving me numbers. It was allowing me to meet people who are making these mods and to showcase an art form, and just really do that. And it felt really cool, honestly. It felt cool to be in that community because I was featured in and people who would create mods for this game. I would be featured in these videos, and I would be featured. People would make mods and ask me to play it on stream, and it felt really cool. And there were certain times where if you go on Twitch, if you go on a certain game, it tells you could organize the streamers by most viewed, least viewed, and there were certain times where I was like at the top of the Friday Night Funkin' like page, like as me having the most viewers at the time, and it felt really fucking cool. I started to really make a name for myself in the Friday Night Funkin' community. But again, the interest for the game for me really fell off. I felt as if my streams were becoming a little bit too repetitive, and I didn't want to be known for just one thing. And it just kind of felt like I was just doing laps and not really just taking the adventure. I felt like I was kind of trapping myself in that, and I didn't really want to do that. And so at some point, and again, this is a topic for another episode, and hopefully I could get into that later. But at some point, I wanted to do the whole esports thing and be part of a team. And so I took Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is the newest game in the Smash Brothers franchise. I started to play it a bit more, and I started to try to do more, stream the game more, host tournaments, and I started to really try to make a name for myself within that scene. And that's kind of where I'm at in terms of the communities aspect. I'm very much in the Smash Brothers scene, and hopefully to some people they know my name, and that's what I'm trying to achieve, is to become a name within the community by doing positive things for the community, and doing things in the esports scene, which again I'll probably make a separate podcast about that because that's pretty interesting within itself. But that entire journey of content was really, really where I don't really ever want to give up on this. If you guys are watching this on this channel, this isn't the channel that I've been speaking about for the most part. I left that channel. Holy shit. I just had apparently puberty is not done with me. I was on that channel for a while. I switched to Twitch. I still have that Twitch channel. I was able to amass 1.5k followers, which felt really insane. I've never had 1,000 followers on literally anything, and it's still to this day my biggest platform. But in terms of followers, right? I left that other channel. I considered keeping that channel, but I decided that I needed to do it once again. What I did with Twitch, I needed to replicate it because I needed to get that inspiration, right? I needed to figure out something that I felt proud of and that I needed to see some sort of a success, to not feel stagnant, to feel like I'm consistently growing, right? And so this channel came to be, and I started to post short form content, YouTube Shorts. And I was doing that in my previous channel, the older channel that I was working on, and I netted myself some good amount of views, like a good amount of views, right? but I never really took it serious. You would think that I would have, seeing those numbers and also seeing how popular TikTok was, how Instagram Reels is popping off as well. You would think that I would do that, but I never did. This time around with this, I want to say, I think at this point it's probably like Mach 5 or like version 5 of myself doing content. I'm legitimately just trying to maximize what I do and really try to see, okay, how do I use certain resources to my advantage? How do I use this to better my content? How do I just really take a look at the analytical side of thing and really use that to my advantage? Because this whole game of content creation, again, the luck factor is probably the most important, right? You, at times, without any luck, you're just not going to make it anywhere. But if you know things like the algorithm, if you know things like analytics and, you know, tags and when to post, there's a bunch of different fucking factors that you could very much use to your advantage. If done right, you will see some success, right? You will see success from it. And for the first time, I feel like for the longest time, I feel like I was depending solely on luck. And now I want to do what I did before, where I want to try to make a community with the content that I produce through streaming, through making YouTube videos or whatever, but also be professional about it and be smart about what I do on the back end so I could make sure that I could see some sort of turnaround on it. And what I mean by that is, again, the whole money thing is a completely different thing. And if it comes, it comes, but I'm not even worried about it, right? I'm worried about maximizing, making sure that if I'm putting out a YouTube short or video, that I see some success with it. And whenever I see that success, it feels good. I feel proud of it, right? And I'm more motivated than ever now. And I feel so incredibly lucky that, again, some of those people that were in that previous community are still part of the communities that I am. They're always willing to help. That I have such a supportive wife who, again, is always just on top of things, just reminding me like, hey, when are you going to do this? When it comes to content, you should do this, giving me ideas, just super, super willing to help me out in any shape or form with this whole thing. When I feel like maybe there's people who don't even want to bring up the idea of trying to do content to their significant other because they'll be faced with ridicule or anything like that. And I just feel very lucky, again, that my support system is incredibly supportive of what I want to do and what I want to achieve. And if you don't have that, I highly suggest you just trying to at least do it. Because again, at one point, I was just so willing to give up without really, really knowing what it was, to give it a good try and really figure out if it was going to be a thing that I was going to be able to do, right? Again, maybe sometimes luck will come further down the line and it's hard for you to stay motivated. But if it's one of those things where you want it because of the money, you want it because you want to gain some sort of fame, then you're doing it for the fucking wrong reasons, right? Because again, unless you're extremely lucky, you somehow get shouted out by Mr. fucking Beast and you get 1 million subscribers day one, then you're probably gonna have to do some work for it. And I very much had to learn in the long run, because trust me, if I had the knowledge that I had now back then it would have been a game changer for me. But that's just not the case. And so I'm really trying to make the best of it now, trying to make sure that I learn about different platforms and learned how it is to do certain things and become a better editor so that I could, save my wallet at the end of the day. And that's another thing, right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to surround yourself with people who are also like-minded in terms of content and are motivated to do it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out. Go on Google, do your research, do whatever it is that you need to do in order for you to figure out how it is to do the thing that you're trying to do, and fucking do it. Because again, there will be nothing more satisfying than looking back and saying, I'm really happy that I stuck to my guns and I did this, because look at where I'm at now. Or looking at it later down the line, God forbid anything bad happens, but let's just say you're just getting older and you're doing different things and you at least know that you gave it a try, and you could shake it off and you could pat yourself in the back and say, hey, I tried it. I did what I could. It just didn't net me the success or the results that I wanted, but at least I knew that I fucking tried, right? And that's all you could really do at some points. Just be thankful that you fucking tried. You're not going to kick yourself in the ass for not doing it. You know, let's put it into high school or into dating terms. You maybe feel like you could have potentially, you never walked up to the person that you really wanted to compliment. You never sparked that conversation with the person that you really wanted to express the way that you feel about them, right? What could have been, essentially, right? Don't let it be a what could have been situation. Write your own story. You are your own person, right? Don't let anybody tell you that you're not going to be capable of doing it, because they don't know shit about what the fuck you're trying to do, right? So stick to it. I'm definitely going to try my best to do that as well, to for the few times really follow my advice and just be real with myself. But this episode was such a fucking emotional roller coaster, and I did not even mean it to be like that. But it is what it is. It is what it fucking is. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and I really hope that I inspired anybody to just at least try to pick up the camera, hit the go live button, upload that video that you've been sitting on, try to do something with YouTube Shorts or short form content, do whatever the fuck it is. If you're in a niche, especially in a very like niche thing, if you're into whatever it is that you're into, there's bound to be a community for it. And I promise you that you're going to find people who are into the same things that you're into, even if you find it extremely niche. Trust me, there is a community for you, and you're going to be grateful that you put yourself out there, and you're going to meet like-minded individuals. Trust me. Just like I did when I tried to do the whole VTuber thing, it worked out, and I was able to meet people within that scene, and it just felt really wholesome. And I promise you that if you really try it, to do it, and you really put yourself out there, you will at least achieve that. And when you achieve that sense of community, honestly, it's unlike anything other, and it's unlike anything else. You know what I mean? To have people there who are willing to support you, who are there on your streams, who are there to to comment first on your videos, they're watching your videos, liking it. It just feels so fucking amazing, and that's part of the reason why I continue to do it to this day. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much. This was episode 5 of Whatever Forever. Again, I'm not sure what Whatever Forever at episode 6 will look like, what I'm going to talk about, or who potentially will join me. But I will see you next week. And that's a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. What the fuck? Knock on wood. It's not a guarantee. And that's why you got to do whatever it is that you have in mind and you inspire to want to do. I love you guys. Take care. You guys are beautiful. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Have yourselves a damn good one. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you.